Hello mga convincers! Sa amang panig ng mundo kayo naroon ngayon. Sana ay nasa mabuti kayong kalagayan. At welcome sa ating episode ng Usapang Pera Live. Ngayong araw ay napaka-swerte natin, no? Kasi mga naggagandahang mga binibini ang ating mga makakasama ngayong hapon para pag-usapan ang kanilang karanasan sa pera at syempre ang kanilang ding mga advocacies. Una natin makakapanayam ay isa sa mga pambato ko. Pinili ko ito Nasa top 5 ko siya anong contest sa Miss Universe. At sabi ko, malaki ang kanyang chance at hindi nga ako nagkamali. Siya nga ay napabilang sa 5, no? sa top 5 ng Miss Universe. So, papasukin na po natin si Miss Bella Ysmael. Ayan. Hi, Miss Bella!
Hi, Vince. Hello, everybody. Magandang hapon.
Oo nga. Oo. So Bella, the show is about money management. No, I'm a wealth mentor, and I also provide social development work to poor households, so providing them financial literacy. Marami din tayong mga manonood coming from the overseas Filipinos sector because we also go abroad to train them, no, particularly mga domestic workers, mga middle managers, ganyan. So very interested kami sa iyo because of course you just recently won. You were first runner up, right?
Yes, that's right.
Konti na lang. Anyway, so can you tell us about how you handle your finances?
Well, being somebody who is more into the arts, for example, now I'm Miss Universe Philippines first runner-up, and so that comes with a few jobs, for example, guestings, modeling sometimes, different kinds of things. But personally, I consider that in the arts because, of course, it's all about creative expression. So it could be challenging because naturally in an industry like that, income is not always, it's not always stable. It's not always the same every month, unlike if you're working in a corporate setting, for example. So it could be a challenge, but then what I like about it is that it's very fluid. And when it comes to finances, you have so much ability to explore. So for example, me, aside from what I have in Miss Universe Philippines, I am also venturing into business. I'm also venturing into other opportunities that I could possibly do. So when it comes to that, it's very fluid and I like that it's kind of like a journey. Every day is new.
Right. Kasi I have friends who are also artists, and yun nga, that's what they say, the income is not really very stable. At one time, you can earn a lot, pero most of the time, mahina daw. Yun yung,
that's what depende talaga yun. Iba-iba.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so I've read about your profile, no? And I found out na ikaw pala ay ballerina, and you're a model, right? So how did you get into this? How old were you when you started?
I started ballet when I was 4 years old. However, even to this day, I don't dance professionally. It is something that I do. It's something that I do because I have a passion for it, but I don't necessarily work as a ballerina. And yes, yeah. So it's yeah, but I am a model. I model every now and then, especially even before during college, for example, on the side. However, it's not really my main. It's not my main source of income.
Yeah. So sa ballerina, who do you look up to sa mga ballerina?
I look up my teacher. Her name is Erica Jacinto. She has been my teacher since I was 12 years old. I've been dancing before that, but when I started with her, I was dancing dire-diretso from until this point. So I look up to her because not only is she an amazing dancer, but she also has so much. She has so much life lessons to share. She has grace under pressure. Despite her busy schedule at work, she still finds time for ballet to teach. And I really look up to her because she is really one of the role models in my life. She helped raise me in some way.
What did ballet teach you?
Ballet, one of the most important things that ballet has taught me is that that in every situation that you're put in, you can always apply yourself and you can find a way to shine. So I was
Mhm.
able to apply that in my Miss Universe Philippines journey. But then also
Mhm.
ballet also teaches you discipline. It teaches you
Mhm.
how to stay calm when you're under pressure, how to handle difficult situations, even outside of dancing itself.
Right, oo. That's what we observed during the competition. Sabi ko, grabe, kalmadong-kalmado and confident, no? Ayun. I actually remember of course, ang pinakakilala natin na ballerina ng Pilipinas, si Lisa Macuja, right? And I
Yes.
remember that she had a program bringing ballet to the masses, no? And she brought it to the urban poor communities and to the masa para appreciate yung culture na yun. So, do you plan to go back to doing ballet or not anymore?
Well, any chance that I can, any chance that I can take to, to dance ballet, even just for myself, and I would take it. On a professional stance, maybe not really, not anytime soon. But yeah, you're
Uh-huh.
right about, about Lisa Macuja, how she did that and how she continues to
Mhm.
do that.
Mhm.
Touching on that subject kasi ballet, because especially traditionally, ballet was they consider it quite the expensive
Mhm.
dance or quite the expensive talent, but or hobby. But then I like how now in modern times it has been adjusted. So for example, I danced ballet on scholarship. So
Uh-huh.
it was something that I was very blessed to have because I did not have to shell out so much money to be able to learn the beautiful dance and to be able to grow in it. So there are a
Mhm.
lot of different opportunities now. And I like that, especially here in the Philippines, like Lisa Macuja and many other dancers and teachers around the country, they have adjusted ballet into becoming something that's more friendly to everybody, na hindi siya kailangan pang ano lang, pang may kaya or for those na parang it would because the situation there is that it tends to be something that not a lot of people are attracted to because yun nga yung
Yeah.
connotation niya na parang hindi ko yan ma-afford, but in reality it's actually something that anybody can do if you're
Yeah.
passionate about it. You can do it. You don't necessarily need a lot of money.
Correct, no? Yung mga iba nga, they could afford to still buy cigarettes. So sabi mo nga, parang priority yan. If you're really passionate about it, you want to watch ballet, then you can save up for it, right?
Oo, tsaka healthy pa yung ballet para sa'yo kasi exercise.
Oo nga, oo, right. Oo. And it's also therapeutic. Ayan. So you're the arts and culture ambassador for the Miss Universe Philippines. What does that actually mean as an ambassador for arts and culture?
So, as the ambassador for arts and culture, it means that I, as a member of course, the top five of Miss Universe Philippines, am a representative of the arts and the culture of our country, of everything that we have around here. And for me, that means in everything that I do, there will always be something arts and culture related. And I mean, of course, I'm not limited to it. We are
Yeah.
all very fluid, but I like that this title, this position has been given to me, and it's very in line with what I do in my life. Kahit even when I talk lang I talk about arts, I talk about culture, and you can see arts and culture everywhere. Kahit
Mhm.
you're walking down the street lang sa EDSA, yung mga walls, yung mga pader, it's all
Yeah.
painted, and that already is art. And then you
Right.
can see the culture, for example, if it's sea themed or if it's, if you see the Filipino theme, that's already the culture. So I like that it comes hand in hand, and that's something that I will continue to promote. I will continue to talk about and continue to let everybody be aware of if they're not already.
Okay. So how do you intend to promote the Philippine culture?
Well, as a ballerina alone, I feel that I can already promote the Philippine culture because there are a lot of ballets that are based on Philippine culture. That's something
Mhm.
that I can already promote, talk about. If, for example, one of the companies here in the Philippines are producing a show. Aside from
Mhm.
that, not even just a ballerina, but our culture as Filipinos, we have dances, we have different ethnicities, we have different food, different outfits from the past, from the past and even to this day. So
Uh,
that's something at me as a Filipina, as a representative of that.
Uh-uh.
I embody that already. You know,
Uh-huh.
how I am as a person, how I talk, and then even we have opportunities sometimes to represent our nationalism in what we wear, for example. So
Mhm.
there is a lot of different opportunities. But me, if you ask me as Bella, one of the
Mhm.
ways that I would do that is simply to talk about it because now we're
Uh-huh.
all based social media tayong lahat, we're all online.
Right.
And of course, you know, in every little way that I can. I would love to talk about it. I'm a proud Filipina, and
Uh-huh.
I think we should all consider that being a proud Pinoy is already one way we're promoting our culture.
Right. Oo. Kasi one of the works that we do also is to promote handicrafts, the weaving culture no na namamatay
Yes.
because of globalization and minimization of costs. And that's one of the things that we're trying to address in some of the indigenous peoples and tribes in Mindanao. So maybe I can give you some weaves, mga ganyan, no? And if you could help us also educate the public about these indigenous weaves para naman ma-promote sila ng kaunti.
Yes, oh my goodness, definitely. Oo. Ayan, 'di ba? So many different things that we create out of out of what we have at home here in the Philippines, out of our resources. So, not even just me, like lahat tayo, like konting post lang natin, more promote na natin yung Philippine culture, 'di ba? So, it's not just me, I'm an ambassador for it, but I'm just one person with a voice. So, wala yung efforts ko kung wala yung efforts niyo.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so and then of course ako nakikita ko yung arts and culture is one way to also it's very therapeutic for me when I take a look at it. But how do you link positive mental health and arts and culture?
Well, there are many ways to do that. I am actually a psychology graduate, so I know a
Hmm.
little bit about mental health. It's also my advocacy.
Uh-huh.
So, for me, for example, when I have down times, which is normal for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
one of my ways of expression is ballet. That's dance, it's
Mm-hmm.
art. And
Now, ayan ha.
yes, oo, 'di ba? So parang you as a person, you can find whatever it is that you feel like helps you express your
Mhm.
emotions, whether you're happy, whether you're sad, whether you're angry. That already, through arts, that already helps you develop your mental health, your mental wellness. And, you
Mhm.
know, there are a lot of projects, there are a lot of programs in arts. For
Mhm.
example, over the quarantine, I was able to collaborate with an organization,
Mhm.
and they specialize in art therapy. And
Yeah.
so I was able to invite some people and we did the dance therapy. So it's about finding movement, not even dance, specifically movement na it helps you express your how you're feeling. And kahit hindi mo pa naiintindihan yung nararamdaman mo. Sometimes
Uh-huh.
movement will help you. Eh, parang isipin mo, okay, ano ba yung feel kong galawin? Ito ba? Ito ba? So parang, you know, you start to feel na parang ano ba yung nararamdaman mo? And in that alone, you can already see that art, expression, culture, that those are things that can already help you understand yourself, understand the people around you, and
Mhm.
that can help you improve your
Yeah.
mental health. Because when you understand what's going on the inside, then you can better help yourself. And you know, if you need to seek professional help, for example, then it's always there. It's ready available.
Sige nga, I will try that, no? Siguro I'll take on some dancing lessons also. Kasi
Oh,
I really announced to everyone, no, that I've had 3 episodes of major depressive disorder attacks, no,
oh.
in my life. At lagi ko ang sinasabi na parang, oh my God, if you only know na pwede pa lang may therapy at saka may gamot for this, kung mas maaga ko pa na nalaman, ginawa ko siya na mas maaga. Kasi mas masaya
Yes.
ang buhay, di ba?
Oo. Tsaka, what I love about it is that there are so many different types of therapy. So if movement doesn't work for you, there's talk therapy. You talk to somebody. If not,
Right.
pwede ka mag-draw, 'di ba? So iba-iba. There's a lot of different ways. And this is what we consider, at least me, this is what I consider arts. It's not
Oo.
just what you see na yung mga colorful, all of that. It's also your movement. It's also about expression.
Right, oo. Okay, how about ano naman, no, culture and arts and it's linked to financial wellness?
There also, yes, that's a good link because arts especially is a source of income for many Filipinos, not just here but
Mhm.
all over the world. We have,
Right.
for example, I have a few friends who are professional ballet dancers, both here and in different countries.
Mhm.
Teachers of the arts, that's a source of income, for example.
Mhm.
There are many different things.
Mhm.
So the link here is really finding your personal art. And if you're passionate enough about it, you can make it a living.
Mhm.
Um, but when we say financial wellness, I would also like to put the idea na parang even if you're not working in arts, for example, you're working abroad or you're working in an office, for example. You are focusing on your financial wellness because syempre, kailangan mong kumita para mapakain mo yung pamilya mo.
Mhm.
You want to build a future, for example, if you're in the younger ages, you're focusing on building your future.
Mhm.
But the link here also is that we can use arts in
Mhm.
finding the work-life balance. Na,
Mhm.
oo nga, nagtatrabaho ka, but then you have another form of expression na parang pang-outlet mo. Kasi kung masyado
Right.
kang focused, 'di ba? Kung masyado kang focused, you might get too stressed, you might get burnt out. And this is
Right.
what I think people need to realize na importante ang work-life balance. Na nag-work ka nga, pero meron kang priorities then outside of work, aside from your family.
Yeah.
Pwede ding your gym, for example, you like to
Mhm.
work out. That's also a form of art. So there are many different ways to find that work-life balance. I think we just need to weigh out our priorities as much as we can.
Right, oo. So marami tayong mga OFWs na kasama ngayon. As I mentioned, no, from Moscow, from British Columbia, from Hong Kong, from Canada. So they all
Hello,
heard
everybody.
that you were saying na kailangan talaga ng work-life balance. Because most of these overseas Filipino workers talaga, nako, they forget about themselves. They forget about their mental wellness. So laking ano na lang, no? Remittance, remittance, remittance here. So it's a good reminder that narinig nila from you that it's
Yeah.
important to balance ano no work and also our health. Ayan.
Yes.
Okay. So how can we maintain pa positive financial and mental health?
Yun. So aside from the work-life balance, it's really about, trying to keep your head above water. Na, oo nga, nagtatrabaho kayo. And personally, everybody, especially those who are, abroad, the OFWs, I really look up to you guys because, especially for those of you who have family here in the Philippines,
Mm.
I can only imagine how difficult it must be to be away from your families.
Mm.
But the fact that you are out there grinding, getting in that finance so that you can help with your families.
Mm.
Um, it's also, I mean, I would personally like to remind you to make sure that you're taking care of your mental health because kung hindi kayo okay, if you're not mentally healthy, then
Mm.
mahihirapan din kayo sa trabaho. So,
Right.
I guess for me, with me, it's really, the answer really is work-life balance. And madali lang siyang sabihin, pero alam kong mahirap talaga siyang gawin.
Aha.
'Di ba? Mahirap talaga siyang gawin kasi syempre minsan you don't have enough time to go to the gym, for example, after work, or you don't have enough time to dance if you like dancing, or to
Mm.
paint, or to draw, or all of that. So it's a challenge. Pero as much as possible, we try to adjust our schedules if we can. Kunyari, if you work a little bit later in the morning, you can wake up earlier so that you can get a workout in, for example, or if you like to run.
Mm.
um Mental health, I think it's important for us to realize that mental health is very, very important.
Mm.
Na ito ang core factor kung paano tayo, this is how it's going to help us. This is what's going to help us succeed.
Yeah.
So take care of yourselves. You're taking care of your families, I know, but take care of yourselves.
Right. Oo. And I also get ano no, I also get asked a lot kung tinatanong nila ako, paano ba Sir Vince, paano ba yung mayaman? At ang lagi kong sinasabi sa kanila, well, ang pagyaman is really a state of mind. You could have the least amount of money in the world but still feel very rich. Tama ba?
Yes, I agree. Meron akong times na talagang hindi ko na alam kung ano gagawin ko, but then, I read this book, and it was
Mm.
telling me that even with finances, you just have to remain positive and trust that the universe has got your back. And as
Right.
much as, kahit even if that sounds a little bit impractical to some of you,
Mm.
um sometimes it's just really like that na even if you don't know what's gonna happen to you bukas, kung wala ka ng pera today, hindi mo na alam kung paano kakain bukas, trust that something good will happen to you and that kahit pa paano you'll find a way.
Right.
So yeah, it's a state
Okay.
of mind. Tama ka.
So yung ano ko no, of course I'm fond of watching beauty pageants ganyan. And I've already prepared the final Q&A. Q&A question that I will ask the final 3 or final 5 ano. And I'd like to ask that to you because I've asked this to ano also no to the others kay Rabia at saka
Mhm.
kay Del. So mamaya naman si Pauline at saka si Billie. So the question is, if you were given 15 billion pesos right now, what will you do with it?
There would be a lot of things that I would do with it. One of the things would be to invest in a business because that's really one of my dreams. Another thing would be to put away some savings for my future because I'm only 24 and I know
Mm,
I have my whole life ahead of me and there's nothing more there's no smarter idea than to keep yourself secure. Na kahit
mhm.
anong mangyari sa'yo, alam mo meron kang savings. Another
Right.
thing is I would help out my family, my parents. You know, I have two younger brothers who are still going to school. If I could pitch in for their tuition fee, if I could help out with any of that, that's what I would do with it. Um, aside from that, it's a lot of money. I don't know what else I would do to it. Maybe I would put some into an organization, also a charity that I could help out with. But
Right.
one thing is for sure, I will not rush to spend
Uh-huh.
it. I will take
Yeah.
my time. And I think
Uh,
this is important. In my 24 years, that's one thing I learned. Now, when you receive money, especially when it's big, don't be in
mm,
a rush to spend, to
right.
buy. Wag kang
Yeah.
gumastos agad. Take your
Yeah.
time. Take it
Let
easy
the
and
emotions
think about it.
aside.
Yes, yes. Let the emotions subside and think about it first. Kung
Ayun.
meron kang gustong ibili na, kunyari, outfit, tulugan mo muna. Sleep on it muna. And then the next day, kung gusto mo pa din, okay, go.
Right. Okay. So the minimalist frugal is saying you're a true beauty with a purpose. So greetings thou from Hong Kong. Ayan.
Thank
I
you.
already saw
Hello.
Pauline a while ago sa backstage, but sige, let's wait for her to come in because I'd like to do something na side by side kayong dalawa mamaya ako yung nasa gitna, no? But
Okay.
anyway, so if you were to address no my viewers right now, what would you advise them in terms of your advocacy?
Hello, guys. So I guess I would just, since we pretty much covered a lot today, I'd just give you a summary.
Mm,
For a lot of you that are, overseas workers, thank you, first and foremost, for everything that you do for our country, for your families, and for yourselves. Because what you are doing, the fact that you are abroad right now working hard, means that you are setting a good example for the youth, for those who are going to take over in a few years. So thank you for that. And I just want to personally say that make sure that despite all your hard work, you are taking care of yourselves because mental health is so important.
mm,
And just because you hear the word mental health, you automatically associate it with being mentally sick. It's not necessarily like that. You
yeah.
don't have to be diagnosed in order to need to take care of your mental health.
Mm,
Kailangan na natin we have to get rid of the stigma na
yeah.
baliw and all of those things. It's not, diba? It's we have to get rid of that thinking. We have to think that mental health is just as important as our physical health, and this is especially important pag nagtatrabaho tayo because it can get very stressful. You can get burnt out. And we don't want that kasi pag na-burn out ka, baka magkasakit ka or you might have to quit your job or the
Mm,
worst case scenario.
yeah.
So this is just a little reminder from me that
Mm,
to take care of yourself, take care of your mental health in everything that you do.
yeah.
And well, I guess on a financial state, just think before you spend. And I'm
Mm.
sure you guys are doing that now. It's just, maybe for the younger ones, if there are younger ones watching around my age, that's a good thing to think about before you shell out any money.
Okay, so thank you very much, Bella. So si Pauline is here with me right now. I'm bringing her in. Ayan. Hi, Pauline.
Hola.
Hi, Vince. Hi, Bella.
Ayan.
Hey.
Ayan. Sabi ko nga ay I want to be in between two beauty queens because I am now declaring myself as the winner. Akin ang corona.
Wow.
Ayan. So thank you very much, Bella, and I hope to see you personally sometime, no? And let's talk more about mental advocacy. So I'll take you out of the studio and I'll focus on ano naman, si Pauline.
All
Okay?
right. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Bella.
Ayan. Hello there, Pauline. Kumusta?
Hi, Vince. I'm doing good. Thank you. How about you?
Ayos naman. Ayun. So taga Bohol ka pala, no?
Yes.
Oo, alright. So did you grow up there?
I was born in Bohol, but when I was 2 years old, me and my parents migrated to Belgium because my dad's a Belgian. And when I was 12, we migrated back to the Philippines because my dad was about to retire na at that age.
Oo.
But every summer, me and my family went back to Bohol. So it's kind of like a second home back then, but now it's really my first and only home.
Okay. So at which part of Belgium the Dutch may Dutch speaking part diyan, 'di ba? Tapos may French speaking part then. Which one?
That's right. Yes, I lived in Antwerp, so that's in the Dutch speaking part. You did you
Yeah.
research? You know, that's so good.
Yeah, no, because I travel a lot, no, especially to Europe because we train financial literacy to overseas Filipino workers. Yun. And also, interestingly, no, yung missionary ng school namin before in the province was a Belgian. Kaya medyo exposed kami sa Belgian. Ang Belgian chocolates, my gosh.
Exactly. The land of beer, chocolate, and waffles.
Yeah, the waffles with chocolate and ganyan. Oh my God, grabe yun. Anyway, sige.
Let's not talk about the food. Let's not talk about the food now.
So, my show is about Usapang Pera. So we talk about tips, financial tips on how to manage finances, ano yung mga magandang investment, ganyan. So curious kami sa iyo, Pauline, ano yung views mo on money?
Views on money. Well, I think that we spend or we think of money in very many different ways, and I think a lot of people kind of like change their perception, or some people have the perception that money doesn't necessarily make you happy, but then there are other people who think that money can actually get you things which will make you happy. If you're the kind of person who likes to travel a lot, then money is something that will help you make your passion or make your dreams come true. So whether we like it or not, in many ways, money does make the world go round. It's not going to be the most important thing in life, but it's something that we can't just neglect. It's something that everybody now is working on. It's something that I am working on as well, for me to be able to have a comfortable life, for me to be able to give my parents a comfortable life, my future family as well. So it's something that differs, but we cannot allow it to take over our mind, and we cannot allow ourselves to become obsessed with money in the first place, because there are other more important things in life, and that's like a constant reminder that we have to give ourselves.
Yeah, so parang what I'm hearing from you is money is just a tool. It's not supposed to be your goal.
Yeah.
It's your tool. It's one of the
that's
tools
right.
to be happy. Ako, magandang point yung sinabi mo na yan kanina. No?
That's very nice.
So,
It's a very nice way of saying it.
Yeah, being part of the top 5, syempre ikaw no, marami ka ng may impluwensyahan. So who and what do you want to influence? Who do you want to influence, and what do you want to influence people on?
At the moment, my goal is really on the youth, to influence them, because I think that the position of influence that has been provided to the top 5, or to anyone who has joined the pageant, is really more focused on the youth or younger people. But that doesn't mean that we can't influence anyone other than the youth. But what I want to focus on, and something that I included in my advocacy as well, is to show people that everyone has a talent given by God, and that we can all use that talent for a greater good. In my case, my talent was drawing, and it was only until a few years ago that I realized that I could be using my talent for other people, and for kids in particular, which is why I was able to come up with a coloring book for children to educate and entertain them. And this proved to be very timely during the quarantine and during the pandemic. I think that a lot of kids were able to enjoy their time at home in the safety and comforts of their house with their parents with those coloring books that I created. And this is a message that I want to share to everybody else out there. Whether your talent is drawing, whether it's singing or dancing, there are so many ways for you to be able to use your talent to make other people smile, to bring people together in conversation. It's just a matter of how you plan everything out. And I'm sure that there will be so many people around you who will be willing to help you with that, as long as you have the courage to reach out.
Yeah, okay. And of course, you were also given the title of as ambassador for tourism, tama ba?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oo, tama
So
po.
how would you use that title to promote or influence people on responsible tourism?
Well, of course, I want to be able to work with as many organizations as possible when it comes to tourism, like the Department of Tourism, for example, or even the local government units. Let's start in Bohol, for example. And I want to be able to brainstorm with them as to how we can make uh, the tourist spots sustainable for travelers and sustainable for the Filipino that lives in the surrounding, but also, of course, somehow reach out to the travelers themselves and make them realize that everything that they do, even traveling, will have effects, and
Yeah.
that we have to find ways to also be part of the process of making traveling more responsible, of making traveling more sustainable, and of finding ways also to make those things happen. Because
Mm.
I'm not an expert on this. I was given the title of ambassador of tourism, and I would love to use my influence when it comes to that, to share experiences, to learn more myself, and to spread out that knowledge. But I
Mm.
think it's important that we have those conversations first,
Yeah.
both with the government and those organizations, and with the people who travel, or with the people who want to go out and explore. There are many things that we can do after those conversations.
Yeah, oo, 'di ba? Sabi nga sa tourism, take nothing but only live with the memories, no? 'Di ba? Just
Uh,
just leave your footprints, not anything.
take nothing but pictures, leave nothing but footprints.
Yes, ayan, okay. Ayun, and of course, you're from Bohol. O, kung kami ay pupunta sa Bohol as ambassador for tourism, what attraction are you going to show me? What's going to be my, give me a one-day itinerary. Saan mo ko dadalhin sa Bohol?
Okay, if it's a one-day itinerary, of course, we'll be arriving in Panglao, but I will not be taking you to the beach first. We'll go to the beach as a last thing na lang. One of the things I want to be bringing you to is, of course, the Lobak River Cruise. Have you ever been to Bohol before?
Yeah, I've been there once. For
Have you
tourism.
ever tried? When was this?
Lako, no, the last one was I attended Kasal last year yata. Yeah, in the
Last
Bohol.
year, all right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay, so you've been to the beach already in Bohol. But of course, the first thing I would want to bring people to, or friends to, in Bohol is really the Lobak River Cruise. The Lobak River Cruise is, of course, a
Yeah.
like a boat that you can ride on and have lunch there. But
Uh-huh.
along the river, there are cottages where
Mm.
the locals will be performing dance and will be performing songs for you. And
Yeah.
that's not just the best thing. The best thing, aside from the food, is that you get to interact with the locals who are there to perform, who are there to make you feel part of our culture. And of course, I would encourage all my friends when they're there to not be shy, but to really have courage and to dance with the locals. They will perform the tinikling dance, but they will, of course, guide you every step of the way. You just need to be able to lift your feet up the right time so that they won't get hit by the bamboo as they strike. But for the rest, it's an amazing experience for me, something I like doing myself, even though I'm a Boholana and even though I've done it many times already. It's
Uh-huh.
something that is so heartwarming because you really feel like you're experiencing
Uh-huh.
the culture of Bohol. You're experiencing the beauty of nature in that one moment, and it just
Mhm.
leaves your heart warm and it leaves you happy in the end that you were able to have that experience. So that's number one, the Lubbock River Cruise. Of course, when we talk about Bohol, one of the major icons that we have in Bohol is, of course, the Chocolate Hills. Of course, I would want you to see the Chocolate Hills with your own eyes so you can witness its wonder instead of just seeing that in pictures or in postcards.
Uh-huh.
And saying we cannot eat the chocolate hills; they're not actually made out of chocolate. sayang. But after that, if we still have time, I'll bring you to Bigon. That's my hometown for merienda siguro. And I'll let you see some of the hiking trails in Tubigon as well. It's a place where people sometimes go hiking. So at least after we've had our lunch, we've had a hiking experience to burn some of the calories. And then after that, we can proceed back to Panglao to maybe experience a little bit of the beach before you take your flight back to Manila.
That's nice. Mukhang fully packed, no? Pero ano naman yun? What's a hidden gem in Bohol that people don't know about?
Actually, there are many hidden gems, and I myself haven't explored the totality of the beauty of Bohol. But I think that a lot of people know that we have a lot of amazing waterfalls. And I've only experienced one. I've only been to one waterfall, and I think there are more than 4 nice waterfalls in Bohol, more than 3 nice waterfalls in Bohol. And I plan to go there also and put on my hiking shoes and bring something that I can swim with and then experience like those hidden gems in Bohol.
Okay. Ayun, no? So that's good. Of course, ngayon, tourism is down kasi nakita nga natin parang 51% of employment from the tourism sector ay natanggal, ano? So how are we going to do tourism now and post pandemic? How do you think should people be doing tourism?
I think that there are a lot of places in the Philippines already which are welcoming tourists back. And I think it's one way for us to be able to cope and to rise up from all the challenges that 2020 has given us. There's so much beauty in the Philippines. And I think it's time for us to reconsider and rethink all of our ways for us to be able to share that beauty of the Philippines once again, not just with other people from other countries, but with the Filipino as well. And I think that taking those little steps, planning those little plans, or planning those little ways to manage tourism during the pandemic and even post-pandemic are necessary conversations that we should be having, because tourism is really an essential industry here in the Philippines. And I think that if we find ways to make tourism, or at least traveling, more convenient again for the Filipino or for other people who will be allowed back into the Philippines, then I think slowly but surely that tourism industry will start up again. Because at the moment, everything is a little more difficult because of all the requirements and all the paperwork and all the tests that we need to take. But of course, these are necessary. But that doesn't mean that we can't find ways to innovate that process, to make it easier, to make it more smooth, so that people will feel more enticed or feel more invited to travel. Because nobody wants to travel and pay for a 2-week quarantine in your destination on top of your actual stay. That's going to be so expensive now. So I think that there must be ways that we can come up with together to make travel more convenient now, and to make it the process itself more smooth. Though the tickets are already cheaper, I've seen now, which is great. But the PCR test that you need to take is still a bit expensive. So baka we can partner with the Department of Health with that. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert when it comes to this, but I'm sure that we can come up with a way to make everything more efficient.
Right. Oo. So nabanggit mo nga na parang airline tickets are getting cheaper, ganyan. So as a tourism ambassador, what's a travel hack that you can recommend?
A travel hack that I can recommend is to check the different airlines for your tickets. Kunwari, if I'm going to Bohol and I need to come back to Manila as well, I will not settle for just checking a 2-way ticket with one airline. Sometimes you need to check your 1-way ticket with one airline and find the cheapest, and then check the other airline for returning. Because they have flights that are cheaper than that. Yes, it's a different airline and might be a bit more time consuming because you need to do the double checking and all that, but you might end up saving some money when it comes to that.
How about in terms of packing for going to vacation?
In terms of packing, really always just have your essentials. Clean underwear will always be an essential. Do not forget that. And if you bring one pair of pants and one pair of shorts, sometimes that's enough already. Don't bring too many shoes. Shoes really do take up a lot of space. If you're going to bring a towel, I suggest that you get the microfiber towel because at least they're smaller and more compact. And for the rest, just bring your wallet with your ID, and of course a little bit of your money just in case, and a charger for your cell phone. But for the rest, you don't. All the other things are just extra for me, I think.
Correct. So it's really pack light, ano? That's what you're saying. Okay. So can you tell
Oh,
us more about Hope in a Box? What is that?
oh, yes. Hope in a Box is an initiative that we were able to come up with the Yellow Boat of Hope Foundation. I've been an ambassador for the Yellow Boat of Hope Foundation since 2019 or 2018. And during the pandemic, we thought that we might want to somehow reach out to children in particular who have been at home and who were not able to continue their education because one, maybe they're not allowed to go to school. Two, a lot of the children don't have access to internet, so they won't be able to attend online classes.
Hmm.
So Hope in a Box is actually an initiative where we create a box where we put hope in as a symbol, but the material things that we put in the box are materials and tools that children can use to fill their time in an educational, inspirational, and entertaining manner while they're at home during their quarantine or during the pandemic. So this includes some math problems, some spelling problems. In my case, it included my coloring book, which I created earlier this year, for them to somehow still educate themselves while at home and continue their educational journey, for them to still feel driven to learn. Because the danger here is that kids will somehow not see the importance of education anymore because they're not exposed to it anymore. So Hope in a Box really is a way for us to reach out to those children, to keep them driven to learn so that they will feel more enticed, more interested in going back to school when all of that is possible, and continue on their dreams. Because education really is a great and amazing tool to make one's dreams come true.
Okay. So how many children have already received this Hope in a Box?
In Bohol, we've already sent out about 100 boxes, at least in because of initiatives that I have led together with my friends. And there's also a Hope in a Box initiative in Romblon. So I've been sending e-files of my coloring book so that they could print it there as well and include that in their boxes too. So it's becoming, slowly but surely, it's becoming more widespread. And I've had people message me here in Manila asking how they can start up with this because they also want to have a Hope in a Box drive here in Manila. So it's really amazing how many people we're able to reach because of this.
Right. Okay. So sorry if I remember correctly, you said you grew up in Belgium, right?
Belgium.
Yeah. So are you also in touch with the Filipino community there?
Oh yes, we had a very close-knit relationship with the other mixed marriage Filipino couples in Belgium. Every Sunday we had a mass celebration which was led by a Filipino and an American priest, so that we'd have the homily in Filipino and in English for the benefit of the husbands or the wives who were Belgian.
Right.
And we organized tours together as a Filipino community. We'd go outside of the country or to somewhere else in Belgium and just have communion together, just to have time together and share that Filipino spirit, because I think that's something that Filipinos experience in every country that they go to. Filipinos seek out other Filipinos.
Right.
And it's amazing that you somehow still feel like you're at home when you are communicating or when you are part of the Filipino community outside of the Philippines.
Right. So having interacted with them, what are common financial problems do they face in Belgium? Mga Belgian OFWs. OFWs in Belgium. Have you heard of?
Well, I know that the taxes in Belgium are very high. I think they're one of the highest in Europe, if not one of the highest in the world as well. And I think that's one of the challenges that everybody there faces, because when you move to Belgium, for example, I'm just going to give a crude example here. If you graduate as a nurse here in the Philippines, your diploma might not be on the same level as in Belgium. So you need to invest in extra training, or maybe even in educating yourself a little bit more, a year or two, to get your diploma from the Philippines as far as in Belgium. And then you'll start out working as well. So while you're doing all that, of course, you're already paying taxes. So that's a challenge that everybody I see is, or that some of the people I know are actually facing in Belgium. And There are other things like rent or the living, what do you call it, the living expenditures in Belgium, or the basic living expenditures in Belgium are quite high also. So that's
Uh-huh.
something that a lot of people are that I know are struggling with. But that
Uh-huh.
doesn't mean that they are stunted by it, or that doesn't mean that that keeps them from from working to achieve their dreams. That doesn't mean that they will be brought down by that thought and go back to the Philippines. No, they
Mm.
continue fighting because the Filipino is a very strong spirited and strong willed individual. And
Mm.
they find ways. That's one of the things I found out also in Boston. They find ways, whether it's working two jobs and just spending most of their time working to be able to feed their families here in the Philippines, or
Uh-huh.
whether it's finding other means to earn a little bit extra. The Filipino always does find a way.
Right. Okay. And then in college you took up international studies, right? What is
That's right.
what's the course about?
Oh, so international studies is somehow also a pre-law course.
Okay.
And in the best case scenario, one of the best outcomes you can have after graduating that is that you become a foreign service officer.
Okay.
So that means that you need to take the foreign service exam and, of course, pass that foreign service exam, and then you'll be appointed, or you can move on to become a foreign service officer. And I've been told that the foreign service exam is as hard as the bar exam, or sometimes a little bit harder, because there are three parts to the foreign service exam. You have the written part, you have the language part, and then you have the parang practical part, where you
Uh-huh.
have like a dinner and you pretend to be a foreign delegate, and then you have to follow all the protocols of fine dining and all those things, and that all culminates on that particular event, that practical exam.
So do you plan to go into the foreign service?
It's an idea that's still in the back of my mind, but a requirement for you to take the foreign service exam is to have at least 2 years of work experience. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to like work on those 2 years first. I think I'm just over a year at the moment when it comes to work experience. So after I've had those 2 years, at least my option is open to try and take the foreign service exam. And when it comes to the foreign language that we need to know, at least I have my dad to thank for that he still keeps me updated, or he still tries to keep me practiced in the language of Dutch, or the language of Belgium. So happy for that.
Okay. And so you mentioned you already have 1 year work experience, correct?
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Yeah. So what work was that? What's your line of work?
My first job was actually tourism officer in Tubigon in Bohol. So I was
Ah,
a tourism officer for 7 months, and
okay.
after that I quit because I wanted to join a pageant. And after joining that first pageant, I was in Manila, and I was offered a job here as well as a retail and sales consultant. I'm
Uh-huh.
technically still employed. I'm just on indefinite leave,
Uh-huh.
and I think those two jobs together has culminate as like come up with over a year of work experience. So it's just a little bit more for me to be able to meet the 2 year, I know, the 2 year requirement.
Right. And do you no no with the earnings that you get from this work, how do you budget that? Curious lang kami.
At, the- at the moment, since I'm on indefinite leave, wala nga. So I have to at the moment I'm just focusing on the project that Miss Universe Philippines is
Mhm.
providing us with. But if
Uh-huh.
if I think back on my earnings when I was still working, of course, part of that automatically goes to your taxes and goes to
Mm.
your social security system, for example, or even pag-ibig if you opt for that, and PhilHealth. And
Yeah.
then, of course, nabawas na. And then for the rest, I was the kind of person who would really take note of my expenses during a month. So that means my expenses for transportation, because of course I can't walk to work. I lived in Mandaluyong and I had to work and my office was in BGC, so I had to pay
Uh-huh.
for transport back then. And
Uh-huh.
also your weekly, how do you call this? Your weekly necessities like food and drinks. That's all something that I all planned out. And then of course you have to somehow indulge yourself a little bit and buy some of your wants. Not
Uh-huh.
necessarily impulse buy something super expensive, but of course if you find something that you like,
Mm.
you know that you've worked hard for it, so you kind of want to indulge yourself and give yourself a little something for all the work that you exerted in that month. But I was the kind of person to really write down all of my expenses, and
Uh-huh.
I would or check where I could kind of make adjustments and spend a little less. So sometimes like any kind of way, like for example, if I spent a little bit too much on laundry for 1 month, the next month I would try to do more of the laundry myself, so I wouldn't have to spend on the laundromat or on the laundry service, for example. So those are just little simple ways that you can do, or you can make, or create for you to be able to save up just a little bit for yourself, so that you can invest into something that you wanted for a very long time, or invest into a plane ticket in going home, for example, because that's something that I also did while I was working in Manila. Almost every month, I would try to go to Bohol to be with my parents.
Yeah. So who taught you about this, writing down all your expenses and keeping a budget?
That's my mom. She's the bookkeeper of the house. So she taught me. She's also a marketing graduate, so she really taught me how important it is to keep receipts and to keep track of your expenses. Because sometimes you don't realize how much you've spent unless or until you actually look back and review your receipts or your notebook with all your expenses.
Okay. So
and you'll be amazed at how much you'll be able to save if you actually do that.
Right. So Pauline, si Abigail is saying buenas tardes. I think she's watching from Spain, no? So marami kasi actually sa mga viewers natin are overseas Filipino workers. So this one is coming from Macau naman. Okay. Kanina may from from Moscow. Ayan. Okay. So thank you very much, Pauline, for gracing our show, and we hope that you would be financially free. You know, yan yung ating wini-wish sa lahat ng mga guests natin. Pero last question before we we let you go. I always ask our guests, kasi syempre Miss Universe kayo at ako naman ay very malaking fan ng mga Miss Universe. So inisip ko na kung ano yung itatanong ko sa mga kandidata kapag yung final question and answer. So ito yung tanong ko sa iyo. Kung makakakuha ka, if you're going to receive 15 billion pesos right now, what will you use it for?
Oh my God, 15 billion?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. That's a very big responsibility on my shoulder. Anyway, 15 billion pesos. I'd like to invest that in a project or maybe livelihood programs. 15 billion pesos is something that I won't be able to spend on myself, no matter how long of a life I live. So at least I know that I'll be able to do something meaningful in my life and something very substantial with that big of an amount of money. So a livelihood program that would benefit the environment, a livelihood that would benefit the Filipinos living in that particular environment, for them to be able to have something that's sustainable and something that lasts long, something that would give back to them as well. So a livelihood program.
Yeah, okay. Nako, mukhang magkasama tayo dyan. Because I'm a social development worker and we really provide economic opportunities to the bottom of the pyramid. So very good na that's what you're going to do with the money. So thank you very much, Pauline, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you, Vince. Have a good day. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Okay, so yan mga kaibigan, nakausap natin si Pauline at naman ngayon, ang aking pinakahihintay, actually kahapon ko pa siya inaabangan, nandito na, no? Si Miss Billie Hakenson. Hi, Billie!
Hi, Sir Vince. I'm so sorry. Sorry, everyone. I know some of you guys waited for our live stream yesterday, but unfortunately, my internet connection was really, really bad. So I really apologize.
It's not your fault. It's the fault of these telco companies. No, umunan lang ng konti ay nawalan na ng internet, 'di ba? Ayun. Anyway, so Billie, it's so nice to meet you, no? Kasi marami actually nag-aabang sa iyo. Because I have friends who really look up to you, and I'm very thankful for putting forward the LGBT advocacy out there. Kaya super kaming natutuwa. Ayan. So the show, Billie, is about Usapang Pera. So of course, we're going to talk about money management. So I'm quite known to provide advice on money management, lalong-lalo na yung mga baon paano mag-invest.
That's why I have my notes with me.
Wow, sige, sige. That's nice, that's nice. Okay, sige. So, umpisahan natin ng interview, no? So, ano ang pananaw ni Billie sa pera?
I think money is not everything, but it's definitely very important, especially if you have life goals to achieve, if you have a lot of activities that you want to pursue, if you want to help out people, or if you just want to live comfortably. And everyone is entitled to having that. And those things are not possible if you don't have a sufficient amount of money.
Aha, right. So talagang very important ang pera ngayon, no? Lahat ng galaw kasi lalong-lalo na dito sa Maynila, no? Na lahat ng galaw mo ay kailangan mayroon kang pera. Ayan.
Mhm.
Anyway, so what has been your what have been your post-pageant activities?
Actually, sobrang dami, Sir Vince, and I haven't been fully adjusted yet because I have my own little world before. So I work as a flight attendant, and that's a routine for me. So I have my roster, I have my schedule. So right now that I'm not flying anymore, I'm finding it a little bit off-putting na I don't have a schedule, legit schedule to follow every day. So every week it changes. So medyo na-off ako, but it's a continuous exciting change, and I know that the opportunities that are presented to me will help me in the future, and people will actually take inspiration from whatever I'm doing. So recently, I've had projects, speaking engagements, wherein I talk about my experiences with Miss Universe, the whole gender equality topic. So it's very fruitful, and I never actually expected any of this because hindi ko naman na-train yung after pageant activities. Ang pinag-trainingan namin lahat is yung pageant mismo. So what do you do after the pageant? So I have no idea. I mean, I have a picture in my head, but it's really different. But everything is still super exciting for me.
Right. Okay. So you mentioned you're a flight attendant. Okay, hindi ko na tatanungin kung anong airline, no? Pero ito ba ay based here in the Philippines or foreign airline?
I've experienced both. So I flew international before, and then I moved to domestic. So I had a taste of both worlds.
Wow. That's nice. So ano yung mga financial benefits of being a flight attendant? Kasi alam mo, nung panahon namin, I'm so sorry, mukhang nawala yata ako, no? Okay. But my question is what are the financial benefits of being a flight attendant?
Actually, madami. If we're just gonna talk about the salary aspect, medyo malaki talaga siya. Malaki siya. Mainly because grabe yung toll niya sa katawan mo. The work that you do is actually very difficult. The trainings that you have to put yourself into, the whole preparation, mahirap siya. It looks easy, it looks glamorous, but it requires a lot from the person. So hindi ka lang nagsaserve. You're actually trained as a firefighter. You're actually trained as a first aider. So ang daming demands ng work dun sa cabin crew. So that only means na kailangan ma-equate siya with the right amount of payment. So kung ikaw yung tao na mahilig mag-ipon, then flying will really help you with that kasi medyo malaki talaga yung kitaan.
Wow, that's nice, no? Na malaki pala yung kita. So tama pala na marami sa mga kabataan before gusto talaga nila maging flight attendant. Okay. So ano yung mga favorite destinations mo, and what would be your travel hacks, no, for these destinations na hindi kami it wouldn't break the bank?
Mm-hmm. Wait lang, comment ko lang yung camera mo. Gusto ko yung camera mo dyan sa top view. In fairness. So, favorite destination ko would be for international, Japan. I love Japan. I love Korea, and I love Abu Dhabi. For Philippines naman, for vacation purposes, favorite ko, Surigao. Ayan. Siargao, not so, maganda siya, pero hindi kasi ako yung surfing type. Hindi ako yung sporty. So, yan, mga Siargao or Surigao. And then, Cagayan de Oro is also beautiful. And of course, Cebu and Cavite are my, is what I consider as home. So yun yung lagi kong pinupuntahan.
So travel hack for Japan. Ay, ang mahal-mahal pa naman doon.
Yeah, but here's the thing. In Japan, yung mga 7-Eleven sa Japan, andun lahat. So you don't really have to spend so much. So ako, every time na may layover ako sa bagong bansa, hindi ako I will just experience a restaurant like parang once, yung pinaka bonggang restaurant talaga na na sinasuggest sa mga TripAdvisor or sa mga kung ano-anong website, yung parang highly rated. I'll try it one time lang kasi, just to just to tell myself na, okay, I've experienced it once in my life, na makakain dyan or makapunta dyan. But I usually don't do it again if nagawa ko na siya. And then, in terms of, yeah, food and all, usually yung masasarap and authentic talaga, ito yung mga mura, ito yung mga nasa street food, ganyan, yung street food versions nila, yun talaga yun. So, as much as possible, hanapin yung mga hole in the wall experience.
Right.
And then,
Yeah,
yes,
no,
go ahead.
I was saying nga na ako parang I really like that, no, na parang I immerse in the culture, tapos ayoko dun sa mga social, dun ako sa mga sa mga kalye-kalye lang. Tapos kapag nawawala na ako, that's the time na ako ay na-excite. Kasi kung alam ko pa yung daan, parang alam ko pa to parang ganyan. Parang, so I want to discover something new, ganyan. So ayun yung isang indicator ko that I've been successful in my vacation kapag nawala ako.
Tapos when I was still flying then international, I always have baon. Kasi sobrang mahal din kasi talaga if you just spend on food na gusto mo lang matikman. Hindi mo naman siya makikita, ilalabas mo lang din naman siya afterwards. So babaon ako talaga ng food.
Okay, sige. So yan, how about yung natin, pasalubong culture? Kasi marami dyan mga nauubusan ng pera dahil sa pasalubong.
Ako, ang take ko dyan, it's not a requirement. And if we really care about our loved ones, our family members, and our friends, we will not require them to give us pasalubong. Kasi hindi naman madaling kumita ng pera. If they actually bring pasalubong, then good, thank you. But it should not be a requirement. Hindi siya dapat hindi siya compulsory. Kailangan may pasalubong ganyan, hindi pwede. So kailangan let's also help each other na makaipon or makatipid kasi hindi naman din murang tumira sa ibang bansa for our OFW families, yung mga nagbabarko, kailangan pag uwi may chocolates ganyan.
Right.
That's not, which is also very much available in the Philippines anyway. So why bother?
Okay, so hindi siya requirement. Nako, mga OFWs, marami tayong mga nanonood ngayon dyan, no? So sana narinig nila na hindi requirement ang magpasalubong, di ba? So yun, pa-shout out daw, sabi ni Janet, ito no, from Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, nurses and healthcare workers daw sila. Ayan, so hello daw sa iyo, Billie.
Good afternoon po, magandang araw po kung nasaan man po tayo.
Correct. Ayun, tapos so ano naman yung sina-sideline ng mga flight attendants usually?
Ito yung nakakatawa sa mga FAs kasi kahit malaki yung sweldo ng karamihan sa mga yan, hindi pa rin talaga mawawala yung mga sideline. So if we minsan nagpapalista kami ng mga gusto nilang ipabili sa amin na makukuha namin sa ibang bansa. Let's say if we're gonna go to Japan, may mga gusto ba kayo dyan, mga makeup products, mga skincare, ganyan. So, pabili. Tapos, yung iba, they turn it into business na nga din na actually nakatulong sa kanila in the middle of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's nice. Kasi ako rin, marami akong mga friends na mga flight attendants at wala silang work ngayon. So, how are they right now?
Actually, those people who were able to retain their jobs and those who did not are actually experiencing the same problems. Kasi ang kalakaran sa being a flight attendant is no flying time, no pay.
Yeah.
So, no, they still have their position, but since wala silang flying time, di sila sumusweldo. So they have to resort to something else. Some of them opted to cook, business at home, they deliver sila ng food, they cater. Yung iba, nag-online business, yung iba, nag-vlogger, ganyan. So, madiskarte kasi talaga yung mga flight attendant. So, if there's anything na requirement to be a flight attendant, that's to be madiskarte.
Correct, no? Kasi security yung di ba? You're in charge of the safety kaya kailangan marunong talaga ang sa diskarte. Ayan, so pupunta na tayo sa iyong sa iyong advocacy, which is of course gender equality. So you are the ambassador for gender equality. So ano ba yung gender inequality muna? Paki-explain kasi baka hindi naiintindihan ng iba.
Sige, so to make it simpler, it's unfair treatment based on your gender, based on your gender preference. Not if you're a female or a male, people treat you differently. If you're a transgender, if you're part of the LGBTQ community, you are deemed different, and then the opportunities that are presented towards you is not fair. So that's basically the gist of gender inequality.
Mhm. Okay. Tapos ilang genders ba meron?
Um, Actually, there are a lot, and some of them, I have to admit, I still have to try to understand
Me
because I
too.
am in the process of immersing and submerging myself into it. So all I know is what I am and a couple of people who are comfortable explaining who they are to me. So yun yung mga naiintindihan ko. But it's a wide array of let's say it's a buffet of genders, let's say. But
Correct.
whatever their gender is, if they're comfortable in it, if they can express themselves as positive as they could, then I think perfectly fine. Then let's put it down in the list.
Right, oo nga. Actually, yun nga yung sinasabi namin, no, as gender empowerment, also, because we do a lot of gender-based programs in our work. At yun yung sinusubukan namin na tanggalin na nilalagyan ng
ng
pagpapanggap
label.
yung gender, di ba? Parang masyadong kinukulong na, ito pang lalaki na trabaho, ito pang babae na trabaho. Dapat walang ganon. Dapat kaya natin lahat, whether babae o lalaki, kaya natin. Ayun, okay. So meron bang economic impact yung gender inequality or yung unfair treatment that you were mentioning?
Yeah, actually, if we're going to look at the big picture, everyone is affected. Every aspect of our society is affected by gender equality, especially
Mhm.
the children and the young people who are moldable pa at a very early stage. But to give specific examples, we have decreased labor force participation. Andyan
Right.
yung they don't feel comfortable enough to apply for a specific job because they're not they don't feel that they have the right gender for that kind of job. Let's say
Right.
being a nurse is only deemed as something for women before, and
Uh-huh.
then being a doctor is for men. So even si mga nurse na gustong mag-doctor, they don't pursue it because it's a very male-dominant field, something like that. And then we
Oh,
have, and of course, this results to untapped labor, untapped talents and untapped productivity. So yung mga babae na talented naman talaga sila, but then since the societal norms dictates that they stay at home and become housewives, they stay at home and become housewives, then we waste their talents. We waste the ideas that should be used in the economical prospering of every country. So sobrang sayang. And then
right.
we have employees who are not motivated to work. They're already employed, but they're
Mm,
not motivated to work kasi they're not happy with what they're doing because I should be doing that, but that is a position that is taken up by another gender. And because of my gender, I have to take up this spot. So
oo.
sayang. And then we also have unfair treatments and unfair pay, which also
Mm,
adds to the demotivation of our employees. And then one
right.
major thing is I think this is the most important thing. There is a huge gap in the decision making process because of
Mm,
gender.
right. Oo. Tapos, so dito, no, what we found out here in the Philippines actually, sa gender pay gap, no, you mentioned that a while ago, parang, kunwari, pareho na CEO, babae at lalaki, but the women would be paid parang 25% less than their male counterparts. Na nakakairita talaga ako, irita talaga. O bakit?
Mm.
Pareho naman yung position, pareho din yung functions, di ba? So, yun yung mga gusto natin, mga ipinaglalaban. Ayan. So, do you think there's there should be done in terms of dito sa pagkukulong sa gender roles na mga ito, and how should we address it?
Actually, ito this is a Filipino culture, cultural sexism, if you may. Pagkapanganak pa lang, if it's a boy, if it's a male baby,
Aha.
then ang saya. May papiging, ganyan, may pa-fiesta. Pero even if it's a female baby, may
Oo.
joke pa na ay karma yan ng tatay.
Oo, oo.
Even if that's just a joke, the fact that it exists is so disappointing. Na kapag babae, malas kasi, I mean, karma kami ng tatay for being a girl. It doesn't even make sense. I think we
Correct.
have to remove that, even if it's a joke. And then
Yeah,
I think we have to remove the idea that boys will always be boys. And
correct.
then girls are expected to be women. So parang we cannot use that excuse forever. Everyone should improve, everyone should adjust, and everyone should be accounted for whatever they did and not resort to having your gender as an excuse. Those are the minute things that I think that we should change para matanggal natin yung gender roles and stereotyping.
Right, oo. Alam mo, napakaganda ng explanation mo na yan, no, na talagang nasa kultura natin. Tapos may isa pa yan eh. When I outed myself to my family, ang sabi ng parents ko parang, syempre tatanggapin ka namin kasi anak ka namin. Sabi ko, hindi pwede yun. So kung hindi ninyo anak at bakla tomboy, ganyan yun tanggapin.
Yes,
diba?
true, that's true.
Sa kanila, because it happened to their own family, they're more accepting. Pero if it's outside, parang ganun ba? Tapos sa kabaliktaran naman, parang, LGBT is okay, basta not in my family. But yung ganun sila, parang, kaya sabi ko, dapat hindi ganun. Hindi dapat tayo na-define nung mga yon at tayo dapat dinedefine natin at mas tinitignan natin yung pagkatao. Tama ba?
Yes. I super agree.
Correct. Okay. Ito, pabalik tayo sa usapang pera. Meron ka na bang experience na nagpautang ka, hindi ka nabayaran?
Ay nako, Sir Vince. Yes, kasi I love helping. I love helping. I have very few friends. So kapag may time na mapili kasi ako sa tao. So, sobrang pili ko. I mean, I'm very friendly also, but then I keep very few people close to me. So, when they actually need help, I give, ganyan. But there was this one time pa lang naman na ako naman yung nangailangan. And then, hindi kasi ako yung tipo na naniningil. So, just pay whenever you're comfortable na.
Right.
I asked. Siya pa yung galit. Ako pa yung mali. So, friendship over niya ako. Nakakapanghinayang because this person is very vital in my modeling and my pageantry career. So sobrang nakakapanghinayang yung relationship namin. Over 5,000 pesos.
Oo.
So, yun siya. Kaya na-trauma na ako magpahiram nung afternoon.
Totoo. Okay, so nasa iyo yung listahan mo, di ba? So bibigyan kita ng tip paano ba magpautang ng tama. So, unang-una, kailangan kapag nagpautang ka, dapat financially stable ka muna. Diba? So that means, and financial stability means, mayroon kang emergency savings, mayroon kang adequate insurance, at mayroon kang passive income. Diba? Ayun. Tapos, another one is, hindi po pwede na awa at tiwala ang gamit sa pagpapautang. Actually, galit na galit ako dyan kasi naawa ako, Sir Vince eh. Kasi kapatid ko, syempre may tiwala ako dyan. Pero hindi yun sapat, di ba? Ang lagi kong sinasabi dati, parang malaki yung responsibilidad nung nagpapautang. Dahil kung ikaw ay nagpapautang at yung pinautangan mo mahirap, tapos hindi pala kayang magbayad, naawa ka lang, nagtiwala ka lang, tapos hindi siya nakabayad, poorer pa siya kasi yung assets niya wala, tapos may utang siya. So, negative yung net worth niya. Pero kasi tayo mga Pilipino, feelings eh. Kaya sabi mo, di ba, parang, kasi mahal ko sila. Parang ganyan. So parang like ko sinasabi, I know, when it comes to finances, kailangan tough love ang ginagamit. Tapos, in all other things, pwedeng mas malambot tayo. Pero sa pera, very dangerous siya. So I hope you learned your lesson there. Tapos,
yes, I actually noted it.
Ayun, tapos next time, better na yung relationship. Okay, ano naman yung financial goals and what are your plans in the future?
So, since I was 21, I have had parang regular income. So, I started my financial goal planning before. So I had my short term and then meron ako ng long term ko. For my short term, of course, the typicals, we have to be able to pay the bills, be able to live comfortably day by day, and then I have to save money every month. And then nag-aalat ako ng amount na kailangan kong ma-achieve every month. Kahit let's say 2,000 pesos lang yan, every month kailangan meron akong natabi. Tapos I have to be able to help my family then. So makapagpadala akong pera. And then, of course, to add something, apart from my monthly savings, kailangan may nadadagdag ako dun sa emergency funds ko. So, yun yung short term ko. And then for the long term naman, I have to have investments. I want to have, I want to be able to save for the down payment of my future house. And of course, to save for my retirement.
Okay. Okay. Very good yan, no? Pero marami yatang naantig sa sinabi mo kanina. Sabi ni Abigail, nako, relate ako dyan. Ay, lutangan, hindi binayaran maraming beses. Nako, buti na lang si Billie isang beses lang.
Oh, one time lang ako, Miss Abby. Mabilis ako matroma.
Elizabeth, sabi niya nakarelate din siya, no? Yun. Kasi totoo talaga yan eh. Maraming mga nasisirang relasyon dahil sa utang. Kaya, kaya mga kaibigan ko, mga kapamilya ko sa akin, takot na umutang. Dahil alam nila na dadaan sila sa butas ng karayom.
At ang tapang nila para isipin ka pa para doon.
Totoo din, ano? Okay. Tapos, ano pa, Billie, no? When you were a flight attendant, so marami ka bang, may naipon ka ba for that naitabi at nai-invest?
Yes po. Yes. Investment-wise, not so. Because I'm actually very intimidated by the word investment.
Okay.
So,
Bakit?
and entrepreneurship. Kasi I've been working in the service industry for the longest time. And parang employee ka. So, dun, yung mindset ko nandun as an employee. I serve, ganyan. Pero yung ikaw mismo as an entrepreneur or mag-invest somewhere else, it's very tricky for me. So, or maybe I haven't really had the opportunity or exerted enough effort to actually understand the topic. But
Right.
if given the chance, I would want to. Pero in terms of just saving up, yes, I did. I did save up. Actually, it helped me a lot when I joined two pageants magkasunod last year and then this year. So medyo maluwag siya for me, unlike other candidates na medyo struggle talaga.
Right. Okay, that's good for you, no? Well, to address just the intimidation, ang tagline ko actually ay ang pagyaman na pag-aaralan at na pagtutulungan. So, I think maganda that you recognize na, nai-intimidate ka, ganyan. Pero of course, alam mo to, na ang natin dyan, panlaban natin dyan ay edukasyon. So, no? So, going back to what you were saying a while ago, na gusto mo mag-save for your, for your house, down payment for your house. So, yung investment naman dyan, hindi naman siya kailangan na sophisticated, yung kailangan mong papasukin na maraming risks kang kukunin. Kasi for me, ang investment is all about your purpose. So, ano ba yung purpose mo? Tapos yung purpose na yon yung magdidikta kung ano yung investment na kukunin mo, 'di ba? So, kunwari, pang down payment pang down payment na purpose. Kaya mo ba na itaya yung pera mo na pinaghirapan mo, no, as an employee, na maaari itong mabawasan?
Oh, yes.
So, okay lang sa'yo na pag, kunwari, yung inipon mo, ito ay pangtatayo mo ng bahay. Nilagay mo sa investment, pwede siyang mabawasan.
I think so, yes.
So
Because
okay.
you know the output naman eh. You're gonna use it as a down payment for the house.
Right, oo. Pero kung papasok tayo doon na may chance na pwede siyang bumaba, when you already need the money, tapos mababa pa rin yung market, matatalo ka, di ba? So, doon tayo sa mga investment na sure na napipreserve yung capital natin. So, for example, yung pangpabahay mo, pangpatayo mo ng bahay, dapat hindi natin siya ilalagay sa stock market. Kasi taas-baba siya eh. Taas-baba, taas-baba. And when the time comes na magpapatayo ka na ng bahay, hindi natin alam kung mababa ba yung market or mataas yung market. So doon tayo sa medyo safer, no? And ano yung mga safer na yon? So we can go into what we call savings, no? Of course, meron kanya, no? At deposits. And usually ako very out of the ordinary because I ask people open time deposits in rural banks. So sa Cavite, I'm sure meron namin yan, mga rural banks. So sa rural banks ka maglagay, tapos i-cap mo lang up to 500,000 pesos yung ilalagay mo doon sa time deposit mo para tax-free at saka guaranteed ng Philippine Deposit Insurance Corporation. So ibig sabihin, hindi mababawasan yung pera mo talaga.
Yung pera.
Another option also is to put it in Pag-ibig MP2. No, it's a government savings program. Maganda yung dividend na binibigay niya. It's also tax-free. 5 years yung term. So kung matagal-tagal pa naman, siguro in 5 years ka pa magpapatayo ng bahay, tamang-tama yung length of time niya. So, yun. Ba't kapag-lecture ako, di ba?
Actually, nagsiscribble talaga ako, legit. I am listing down and taking down notes.
So, yun. Kasi, ano yan, no? For buying a house, usually that's your largest asset. So, ganito siya. Ang na-observe ko, yung mga middle class, yung pinakamalaking asset nila ay yung bahay nila na hindi kumikita. And there's nothing wrong about that, no? Pero para sa akin, kung mag-a-advise ako, dapat yung largest financial asset mo should be earning you income. So, hindi po pwede para sa akin na may malaki kang bahay, tapos ay nagpapagod ka for 20 to 30 years, nababayaran mo yung utang mo dun sa bahay na yon. So, hindi ko yun gusto. So normally what I teach, 'di ba? Parang sa umpisa, yung bahay na papatayo mo, kalahati yung bahay mo, tapos yung kalahati parentahan mo. So gawin mong ganun yung design para meron kang passive income. Tapos ito din yung yung tips for buying a house. It shouldn't exceed 3 years of your salary. So kumare kumikita ka ng 100,000 pesos per month, no? Yung bahay na ipapatayo mo should not exceed 3.6 million pesos. I think with 3.6 million pesos may makukuha ka ng maayos na bahay at lupa sa Cavite, ano? Kung may asawa ka, kung may partner ka, so better 'yon kasi i-combine nyo yung income yung dalawa, tapos 36 months din yung titignan. Kaya dapat pumili tayo ng may income na partner.
Yes.
Ayun. So,
or invest on yourself para ikaw yung kumikitang partner, para ikaw yung hahanapin nila.
ay nako, totoo yan. Patunay ako dyan, no? Papakita ko. Wait lang, pakita ko sa'yo. ito.
Oh, may pruweba, may resibo.
Tingin mo, ilang years na kami?
Based on that picture lang, I'd give it siguro mga 3 years. 4.
3 years? Wow. Okay. 18 years. Di ba? Maaga akong nahanap ang aking pag-ibig sa buhay. At buti na
to
lang,
all the viewers, eto yung totoong sana all.
Tingnan natin baka may nagsasabi na sana all. O,
Eto talaga yun.
Correct, no? Sabi niya. Anyway, but really, what I always say is it's very important that you choose your right partner, di ba? Na pinagyayaman ka niya. Hindi, not even financially, di ba? Pero nasusuportahan ka niya with what you want. Tapos meron kayong congruence of plans, no? So, yun. And kaya nga kami, sabi ko kasi kaya kami tuwang-tuwa sa iyo, no? Ayun, okay. Naka-overtime na tayo, Billie. Gusto ko pa talagang pahabain ito. Pero, ito yung aking Miss Universe question sa inyong lahat. Lagi tayo ay nasa Usapang Pera. Billie, kung mabibigyan ka bigla ng 15 billion pesos, anong gagawin mo dito?
Of course, I cannot spend the whole thing. But the majority of 15 billion pesos that I will receive will go to a school that it's a dream school that I really want. A school that is gender not acceptable, but a safe zone for people who are confused, a safe zone for children who may think that they're actually part of the LGBTQ community, where their talents, their skills will be honed in the best space and the safest space that there can be. So, yun talaga yung napipicture ko. Gusto ko magkaroon ng lugar na ganon, wherein matututunan talaga nila what it means to be a person who's in this community. And then from there, kasi let's admit it, kahit tayo na members ng LGBTQ, we still have a lot of questions. And if we actually have an institution, it may not be a school, an institution open for all, not just the members of the LGBTQI, na may educate yung mga tao, then that would be amazing. Sobrang mapapadali yung campaign natin for equality.
Totoo, no? If we're given that budget, marami tayong magagawa. Nako, Diyos ko.
Sobra.
So, yun, actually, just to share, meron kaming kaibigan na ganyan, kakamatay lang niya. And unfortunately, no, parang very untimely, very successful person. And ayun, tapos when we went to their place just recently, tapos nagkwento yung nanay niya. Sabi niya, yung anak ko nga may insurance. Tapos yung insurance, beneficiary, ang nilagay niya, bahay ampunan. So, hindi yung family niya. So, ako parang, that's a good idea. Pero ako, what I did was, ako sa insurance policy ko, half of the insurance policy will go to our foundation. So, we have a foundation. It's called SEDP Foundation. And then, ang rule dyan ay, the foundation will use the money as a scholarship fund for LGBTQ kids. No matter magaling o hindi, no, basta LGBTQ. Kung straight, bawal. So discrimination para maramdaman nila yung discrimination. So yun yung ginawa namin. So any last words for our viewers, Billie, na maraming nai-inspire sa kwento mo?
I don't know what I did right, but thank you so much for trusting me and for actually listening to me, and to Sir Vince, who gave me another platform to speak out and to make people hear whatever I'm thinking about and all my ideas. I don't know if it's actually interesting at all, but I hope you actually learned something in this episode. Well, I actually learned a lot, obviously, but and I have the receipt for that. And yeah, thank you so much. And I hope that our New Year's resolution would be to have a gender equal year for 2021.
Oo nga, kahit yan man lang ay bigay ng 2021 sa atin, no? Kasi grabe itong 2020 na to. So maraming salamat, Billie, and it's really an honor to meet you. At yes, of course, we are at your back to promote your advocacy on gender equality. So maraming salamat.
Thank you, Sir Vince. Thank you po. Magandang umaga po ulit sa inyo lahat.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so yan mga kaibigan, nakita natin, Diyos ko naman, 3 beauty queens ang nakausap natin ngayon. Kahapon, isa, tapos last weekend naman si Rabia, no? Grabe. So talaga ako, alam mo naman, birds of the same feather flock together talaga. So mga beauty queens, mga katulad ko ay nagsasama-sama, kumbaga. Hindi. Sana marami po kayong natutunan ngayong araw na ito at samahan niyo po kaming muli sa mga susunod pang episode ng Usapang Pera. Ako si Sir Vince dito sa Pilipinas, nagsasabing ang pagyaman na pag-aaralan at napagtutulungan.